How's it going? My name is Brent from Encore PPF and Tint, and today we're going to install a bunch of pieces on this mirror. So this mirror belongs to the rest of this vehicle, which is a 2022 Lexus LC500. And we have 6 pieces and one seam right here where there is a relief cut in this to come together. And that, when you can hide those on a bend like that on the seam or whatever you want to call that, on that part right there, then that's a great place for a seam if you're going, or a relief cut if you're going to have one. So you could totally stretch this, tack all this here, and then pull this over the edge and do this in one piece. It wouldn't be that difficult, but we're installing a kit today, so we're just going to go ahead and do that. And then we may have to make a separate piece for in here, because this piece that goes in here only covers this part and nothing covers back in here at all. So it just covers this front section, which I don't understand that at all, because when this is like this, you could, I don't know, it seems fine. Really, it's fine. I'm just getting a little carried away, I guess. To me, it just looks like it could totally hit this part still, and that bothers me a little, especially when anyway, blah 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 blah. Let's go ahead and get these pieces on here. We're even going to cover the chrome because it's available and sitting over there on the wall already cut out. Let's go ahead and we'll start with this piece, and then we'll just start working on the rest. All right, so what we're going to do with this piece here is get this lined up and then this edge lined up, and then we'll squeegee it down to tack it down into place, and then we'll get our little bit of stretch on that this needs. So we're going to just try to get really close to that edge, as close as we can without going over it, because we don't want to have to do any trimming. That just makes extra work and whole extra processes that we don't want to have to do. So let's make sure that this is down enough here, and then I'll go ahead and tack this into place here. And then I'm going to get a little bit of tack solution here. We're going to spray it in behind this and then lay this part down. Oh, look at that, it moved. All right, hang on. Hang on here, we got to lift this whole thing back up. So I'm going to go ahead and just put tack in here, because at some point I got this to move a little bit, and it was then not lined up correctly with the edge. So right there is back to looking really good, and that tack solution should be making that pretty much start sticking already. And then we'll just ensure that by squeegeeing it out. Okay, there we go. And then let's get this part into place here. Squeegee that out. Make sure that's not going up too high and hanging over the edge. Now we're going to go ahead and put a tiny bit of stretch on this, and that's just also for positioning here. And really, we're not going to put any stretch on this at all, because it doesn't need it, and that'll be working against ourselves. So let's go ahead and get this in place here. And I'm just going to get all this stuff to line up really well. Lay that into place. Then we can go ahead and squeegee out here across the face, and then now we should be able to take the rest of this up. All right, now let's go ahead, and I'm gonna get all of this pushed down right in here up until this line here. And even this very corner of this relief cut, we wanna get that stuck down, because when we pull on this and stretch this into place, you can create a finger just like that, but smaller, obviously, right on that edge, or right at the end of that relief cut there. So let's tack that down, and then let's go ahead and go down with this And we'll go ahead and get all of this pushed down like so. And then let's go ahead now. I'm gonna put some slip in here. And actually, let's come all the way up right here, kind of like at an angle like that where it's already kind of stuck down. So something like that. And I'm gonna hold this in place, and we're gonna start to kind of position this. I'm gonna put my whole like hand on it here, and I'm gonna bring this up and bump it into this other piece here. And then take my hand off. Oh, you know what? Let's do another thing first real quick here. Let's get this edge right here tacked really down, because we need to be able to bump into this. And if that keeps popping up, we're obviously not gonna get a good seam there. Okay. Let's see how that wants to work for us now. Okay, and I'm gonna just put my thumb right here instead of using my whole. The problem with just using your thumb is that you know, that's going to start tacking where your thumb is, and when you use your whole hand like that, you can be your pressure on the paint protection film is more spread out. Okay, so there we go. This came down just a little, so let's pull that back up. It's hanging over now. Something like that looks really good. Okay, and we'll keep squeegeeing this out. Now this bottom part here, I'm gonna just add tack in all these edges, and then we'll go ahead and push this out. Make sure that everything's squeegeed out. Let's move on to the next piece. All right, so what I did last time was actually lined up on the other side there. I lined up right here and tacked it, so let's do that. All right, so what we want to do here is get some tack solution in this edge. I'm standing in the way, aren't I? Let's try this. Okay. And we don't want to hang over too far this way that we go past the edge there, and we don't want to, the same thing on the bottom, get those good and lined up. And then what we're going to do is just tack this down here like that. Okay, and then we're going to stretch up to the top here, because there is a little bit of stretch needed. So something like that, making sure again we're not hanging over the back side there, around the edge. And then I'm actually going to drop my tack bottle on the ground, then pick it back up, and we'll get some tack in this whole edge. And then we'll go ahead, squeegee out this edge there, and then we need to get on this stretch. It's not much, it's just a little bit, but we need to do this sooner than later, because the longer we wait, the more we have a risk of getting a stretch line there. So right here, coming down to right there, and I'm just checking that edge and making sure that it's lining up really well and we're not hanging over. Okay, there we go. And then let's go ahead and bring this out now. So I went up first and down, and then that gave me a bigger area to start with my squeegee and bring everything this way, making sure that we're not hanging down too far here. I kind of broke my own rule right there, which I knew I was doing, but you don't want to drag moisture through the area that you stuck down, especially if you use tack solution, because then you can make distortions in the adhesive potentially. It was just a little spot tacked down that I was like, I'll just pull it through, it'll just go out the sides, and because it comes down to a point anyway. Yeah, that's not a good plan. So just, you know, I don't know why I was messing around with it like that, but okay. Now all this is down, and all we need to do now is we're going to go over this edge, push this out, go over this edge and dry out this moisture, because you see how this isn't sticking down, but then you see right here how I was able to get to stick down. It's because that there's moisture in that edge. And so getting that moisture out will help. And so what I'm doing with my finger here and the towel is I'm just going down and over that edge with the towel, and then that's drying it out, and then I'm holding at that edge just a little bit to give it some time to dry all the water out and to hold it stuck down into place. So those things right there, hold them down for a moment, massage that whole edge down pretty well, hold in a different spot, and there we go. Now there will be, you know, some heat sealing again still at the end, like always. So that's not done yet, but it's done for now. Let's go ahead and check all this here. Go across the top. We are hanging over just the tiniest bit here, but it's not, it's just where it starts to round. So it's not too far over that we're going to need to trim it. It will go, that will push down without a problem once it dries out a bit more. All right, same with that little guy. That guy will definitely go down later. Now, let's go ahead and do this chrome piece here. Just lining all this up really well. And it's such a small piece, there shouldn't be any stretching necessary really. And so you should just be able to line this up and then squeegee it out. So I used some tack solution on the material there instead. So I put slip on the mirror and I put tack on the piece here on the adhesive, because I'm trying to get this to stick down pretty quickly, and it's still moving around quite a bit. This is the Premium Shield Next Gen material. I really like this material, but we are leaving them. There is really no manufacturer for them anymore. Eastman purchased them, and they're like the red-headed stepchild or something. Sorry, red-headed people, but they've been pushed back into, you know, they don't acknowledge them basically. I don't know. So it's kind of become a thing where we've got to get away from them. They're definitely not trying to grow the business at all. So we are leaving Premium Shield and won't be purchasing any more of that product, which they're more than happy with. They just want us to switch over to, you know, Suntech or something else in the Eastman lineup. Even though Premium Shield's really, it's in their lineup. Whatever though, we're out of here. All right, let's get some tack in here, and we'll go ahead and lay this stuff out a bit. Like that. Ooh, I've got a little rough on that and it popped up. So let's go ahead and get that laid back down. We'll go with it like that. Get that back down over here. I'm gonna hold that in place a little bit while I get some decent pressure on this and push it out. There we go. Okay, let's go ahead and dry out these edges just to see how this is looking. All right, looks pretty good. A little bit of stuff popping up here, but like I said before, that stuff will all get taken care of when we do the heat sealing process. Now you will notice that it's going to look kind of like so chrome obviously is incredibly shiny, and when you put paint protection film over it and it's drying out, it's going to look milky, and you're going to have like areas that look better than others. It's going to look real blotchy, and don't worry about that. When it dries, it all cures and looks clear again. So don't even be worried about that. I don't know if you could see that in the camera, but it looks terrible. It looks like, oh, that's never going to look good. That looks awful. And just let it dry. It will. Okay, now let's go ahead and put this back piece on here. All right, I'm gonna add a little bit of tack to this, and we're gonna get this laid into place here. And then I want to line this up really well. So let's see what we can do here with this edge mostly. This and then like the bottom edge. That looks like it should line up pretty good. And then let's see, we're gonna go, what would I prefer? There's a little bit of a gap right here and there's no gap on the bottom. So what I prefer, yeah, I think I would prefer this up a little bit higher or more in the middle, I guess. And it's getting pretty sticky, so I'm just gonna go ahead and put more slip on there. And we're really gonna pay attention then to this corner here. Yeah, which then, you know, leaves a decent gap there. All right, let's push this corner down right here. And then I'm gonna go ahead, get some tack in here, and we're gonna push this down straight across like this. And then I'm gonna try stretching down a little, and I'm gonna try stretching over that way a little bit to try and keep this edge lining up really well here across the top. Get some slip in here. And I'm just kind of stretching this up as we go over to try to keep it lined up with the top really well. Okay, go ahead and squeegee that out. Oop. All right. It really doesn't like that. So let's go ahead. This piece just isn't a good pattern. So there's that. Take that, will ya? Okay, so with tack in there now, that should go down, stay down in place. Okay, there we go. And then we want to get this all pushed out in like one fell swoop would be best. So let's do something like this. Oops, don't leave something in there. There we go. See, that's beautiful. If you can get that in one nice swoop motion, then you're going to be in great shape. Okay, let's make sure that we're not getting a bunch of pre-tack in there. I'm going to stretch down a little bit. What you can see is then, because this is a recess, it's trying to bridge that gap there. We're trying to bridge that recess. Okay. All right, 2 more pieces, 1 and 2. Let's go ahead and install this black one here first. This piece is pretty interesting. It actually comes all the way around here. And if you're cutting this out with core, good luck, because it's a mess in there. Core, I don't know what's going on, but this kit is from the nested kits that comes with the fender, I believe. Fender and mirrors, I believe, is what this piece came from. If you grab it from just the mirrors, it's not going to come all the way around to there. It does, unfortunately, well, I don't know if it's unfortunate, but it stops right there as far as I can see what the pattern looks like in the computer. So I don't fully understand why, if you grab it nested with the other stuff, it's a different pattern. Maybe it's a legacy pattern. And the other thing that you'll notice is that in the computer is that you're going to be missing pieces. So this piece here, over here, doesn't exist anywhere. So this is all they cover on this. And then this piece here only comes with just the mirror patterns. If you get the nested one that comes with the fenders and they're all nested together, this piece doesn't even exist on that. So take that. I don't know who did what there and what's going on and why you would cover the rest of this mirror but forget pieces of it. But somebody made a little whoopsie and didn't get all the pieces in there. All right, so this squeegee, when you have a big squeegee like this in this area, what you're gonna have to do is go up and down. And this is what I did on the other side. And it's just what you have to do in order to get this to work in here. And then you just have to make sure that you're overlapping really well, because it's very easy when you're doing something like this to leave stuff behind, because you're only pushing out such a small section of it. It'd be much nicer to go whoop like that. And so I was gonna look into my bag of tricks here and find my other squeegee. This pink one works really good in areas like this. And then you can squeegee it out just like that. I was getting a little aggressive there. And this is hanging over the edge just a tiny bit, but it's a rounded edge, so it is gonna push down without a problem. But getting that aggressive with it just bunched up this edge a little and popped it up. Okay, and actually now I think I see why the one kit doesn't come all the way over here, and that's because there is some kind of a line here in the plastic, like a seam from the mold of this piece, and it's going to leave a silver line potentially right there when it dries out, and that's fine. You know, it is what it is. Go ahead and install this bottom piece now. Okay, we've got that lined up pretty good. There's a little bit of tack in there, so let's just see how this goes without putting more in there. It's a pretty straightforward piece. Oh, you know what? What's going on there? We're hanging over that edge. So I'm gonna put some tack in this very edge. I'm gonna line that up really well. Stick my finger in it like that. And then let's line up the rest of this, because we can hang over a little bit there because that edge rounds a little bit. But if we hang over this back, then we're running into the other piece and we're gonna have to trim something. So we'd rather be hanging over just a little bit here so that we can just wrap it around that edge anyway, is really the alignment that I wanted. There's a little piece of lint in this from when we pulled it back. Got a piece of lint in there. So I broke it loose with my fingernail. Then we're gonna spray it out of there. Get some tack in there, since there's really not much for any more positioning or anything, and we're just gonna be squeegeeing this out. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and just double check all this, make sure I squeegeed everything out. Oh. Some of these pieces, it's tough not to run into other pieces. So I popped up this little piece here on the chrome a little bit, and we'll go ahead and push that back down, and then we'll be a little bit more careful about that. Okay, so that edge is all down really well. Okay, I'm gonna go through and try these edges out all the way around this, because it's, I don't know, it's 5 o'clock. I'm gonna go home pretty quick here. I'm gonna make sure that all the pieces are installed on this car, and then I'm gonna leave. And this is going to sit and dry out overnight, and then I'll be back in the morning to heat seal all of these edges. And then this car is ready to go home. Okay, dry all this out. Oop, I left a little bit of water there somehow, or I pushed the material up on accident. So let's get that pushed back down. Maybe when I squeegeed this way, I popped this material up. Not sure. Okay, it's popping up at the very bottom there. I really should have just put tack in there when I went to squeegee that out. I should have pulled it back and put tack in there, but let's just bump that edge, get that dried out. The little tiny finger stayed down now, and that is good to go. So we will come back a little later with you, and we'll go ahead and heat seal these edges. All right, let's go ahead and heat seal this, and then it'll be all wrapped up. So some of these edges here are popping up just a little bit, and I want to go ahead and push those down and get those sealed down as well as I can before I start heating this up. because those little edges that are popping up are going to heat up differently than the edges that are stuck down, and we want all this edge to pretty much react the same to the heat as we go across it. Otherwise the edges to get heated up more because they're hanging off of the paint. Those edges are going to take more heat, and then they're going to react different to the heat, and it gives you more possibility of running across them and damaging them when you're trying to push them down. You can fold them over on each other. You're going to fold it over on itself, basically, kind of bunch the material up. You can do a thing that I call fraying the edge, where it makes it look a little white, and all that stuff is permanent damage to the material, and you'll have to trim that area out in order to make it look better and not so visible as far as the damage goes. Okay, so I'm just taking each part of this and then working my way around it. Anytime you're working on a seam like this, you want to go with the seam, not work against it. If you start to feel the material getting a little sticky, and that means you're starting to get it a little too warm, and you'll want to either speed up with the heat gun, or just get the heat gun away from it first is the way to do that, and then from there you'll either need to get less heat on it or move a little faster. And then just be careful when you heat up these edges that when you're going across one part, you're not damaging the edges or corners on another part. It's very easy to go past this edge here and then come back and then damage this little part on this piece. So just be very, oh wow, I'm forgetting words. Vigilant about paying attention to those edges so that you don't damage another piece while you're working on one piece. Okay, terrific. That's all finished up and ready to go home. Well, I appreciate you guys taking a look at this video. If you found anything helpful, please like, subscribe, and we'll see you guys on the next one.